Good morning, Faith Family. Thanks for joining me for this Thursday edition of the Daily Connection. It's a time that we come together and we get in the Word. More importantly, the Word gets into us. So we're still talking about the topic of joining God's work. And today we're looking specifically at verse 49 of John chapter 12, where Jesus says, "For I have not spoken on my own, but the Father himself who sent me has given me a command to say everything that I have said." So that phrase, that statement, kind of understanding of it needs to fall into the context in which it was stated. And of course, that being that you have some of the religious leaders questioning Jesus, specifically his authority to say what he's been saying. And because some of the things he said have been pretty radical in terms of their own man-made traditions. It was in direct contrast to those traditions. And so they felt like they had developed those from the law of Moses, which they knew, based on Exodus 19, came straight from God. And so for Jesus to come and to contrast that, to come into conflict with that, with his teaching, they were asking for justification. Where do you get your authority on this? So Jesus knew it was vital that he connect his words right back to the Father. And so he's done that in verse 49. It would be kind of like in our context where we send one of our kids to one of our other children. We say, hey, go tell your brother, go tell your sister to clean up their room, or go tell them to turn the music down, or whatever. Well, if you listen closely, inevitably, one of the first statements that will come from the other sibling is, "Who said?" They want to know, based on what authority are you telling me to do this or to stop doing that? Kind of the same thing here, but it goes right back to what we saw originally in verse 44, where it says, "The one who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me." And so Jesus is still rooting everything he's doing in the origin of where he came from, who he originated out of. The same statement was made in another instance in John, where Jesus said, "The things I do, I don't do on my own initiative, but because I see the Father doing them, I do these things." And so for us, in our context, it really goes along with the idea that if we're going to join God in his work, then we've got to do it through the power and the authority of his word. So many people oftentimes get sidetracked with man's philosophies and humanistic rational thinking, rationalism, if you want to call it that. But the fact of the matter is, everything we do as believers, both in our own personal sanctification, being set apart, or in the aspect of engaging unbelievers, we have to lean on the authority of the word. Yeah, we may have to bring the application to a modern context, and there's no problem with that as long as you're true to the text. But ultimately, we've got to lean on the Word of God if we're truly going to be carrying out the work of God, because God throughout history has operated through his word. Yes, he's given visual representation of his nature and his presence, but ultimately it's through his word that that he operates, that he works, that he accomplishes his purpose. And nothing's changed in that. The word's still quick, it's still powerful. According to the writer of Hebrews, the word, as Isaiah declared, the grass may wither, the flower may fade, but the word of God, it will stand forever. And it is that word that nourishes the soul. It is that word that awakens the dead soul. It is that word that guides us to an understanding of who God is and what God is doing and how we are to respond to that. And it is that word that will keep us connected to what God is doing, so that we're sure to join him in that work. Now, today's Thursday, which means, hey, one more day before break, right? But let's don't think of it like that. Let's think of today being yet one more opportunity to join God in what he's doing, to come alongside him, to be empowered by him, to bring pleasure to him, and to experience his blessings as we are faithful to honor him in no matter where we're going, no matter what it is, what vocation we're involved in, whether we're going to a school setting or we're going to some sort of a recreation. In everything that we do, and of course by today's text, in everything that we say, let's seek to honor and glorify God in that. And one of the ways we do that is that as we head out the door, we always do that with a mindset of living sent.